Before I start this video, I did want to warn that there is a poking, graphic images of an eyeball, and bright flashes. Please enjoy. Hello guys, let's talk about some psychology. Hello there, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So for my psychology YouTube project, I was flipping through this wonderful book, and I came across a chapter that really interests me. Now, granted, it may be more anatomy than psychology, but it's in the book, so let's get into it. Have you ever wondered how we see things? Like, I'm sure everyone knows about the basic eyeball and, the pupil and the pretty colored iris. But have you ever wanted to go more in depth than that? Like, what's in the eyeball? What does the eyeball contain? Well, stick around, because this ain't gonna be my usual video. Let's get some education. Let's learn a little bit on the eyeball. Eyeball. And how we see. Specifically one eyeball, because if I were to talk about both, then this video would be way too long. The eyeball. The eyeball. The eyeball. Your optical sphere. We can't just see things in the dark. We need a light source of some kind. Light bounces off objects, which allows us to see. Light travels in a straight line. It becomes angled from bouncing off objects, but still traverses in a straight line afterwards. There's a certain range of energy wavelengths known as the visible spectrum. What we see is the light reflecting off what it bounces off of. Which sounds like, I didn't hit you because atoms can't touch. They repel. But that's what seeing is. We would not be able to see a beam of light if the air had no dust. Dust allows the light to be reflected off from it. After that, we can see the beam of light. It's so shiny, it's reflective. Ba-da-da. Dust me like a Victorian maid would. So if an object does not emit its own light, it must reflect to be seen. So no, diamonds don't shine. They reflect. Once the light is reflected, it goes through the cornea. The cornea is the protective outer layer of the eye. This layer helps prevent germs, dust, some UV light, and other harmful substances from entering the eye. The light that enters your eye gets refracted or bends as a result of the curved edge. Here is where what you're seeing gets turned upside down, later to be flipped by the brain. By bending the light, the cornea is sharpening its focus. The cornea provides 65 to 75% of the eye focusing strength. It's similar to how a camera focuses. In a camera, you are able to move the glass lens closer or farther from the sensor or film so that your photo will sharpen or blur according to how you want your photograph. A smartphone does this automatically with an algorithm that measures contrast. Your cornea has three main layers: the epithelium,
epithelium,
which stops substances from entering, the stroma, which is made of water and protons. This absorbs unneeded liquid. And last, the endothelium, which works as a pump to get rid of the unneeded liquid the stroma collected. Once sharpened in the cornea, the light goes through the pupil, which is a hole located in the center of the iris. The iris is the colored bit around the pupil. The pupil appears to be black due to the light being absorbed into the retina and not being reflected back. Red eye from a camera happens when the intense flash is reflected red by the color of the retina. The iris and pupil work together to control how much light enters the eye. Muscles within the iris constrict and dilate the pupil, making it smaller and larger. In bright settings, the iris constricts the pupil to account for the large amount of light. A good example of this would be if an image is overexposed. meaning the lens could be far too open, allowing in too much light. Or when you turn on a lamp and your eyes adjust to count. In dark settings, the pupil dilates to let more light in. Often, ophthalmologists eye doctors will give you eye drops to dilate your eyes so they can fully examine the optic nerve and retina in the back of the eye. After going through the pupil, the light goes through the crystalline lens, which lies directly behind the pupil. The lens bends the light so it is focused nicely to the back of the eye. Its curved shape allows it to change its focus on nearby and faraway objects too. It adds 25 to 35% of the focusing power to the eye. The lens becomes more rounded to focus on nearby objects and more stretched to focus on faraway objects. These muscles lose elasticity over time, which explains why some people need reading glasses when they get older. Attached to the lens are ciliary muscles, which is what contracts and releases to change that sweet, sweet curvature of the lens. After the long journey through the front part of the eye, the light finally reaches the back.
In real time, it really isn't that long. It isn't supposed to be that long. It's just, wake up and you see.
Once light is bent and focused on the rear of the eye, it's come to a sharp point onto the retina. The retina lines the back of the eye and is covered in millions of rods and cones, which are light-sensitive receptor cells. Rods are sensitive towards light and are able to function in low light conditions. They provide peripheral vision and are sensitive to movement and motion as well. Rods give what's known as scopic vision, which is your eyesight in low light conditions. Not right now. It's sunny out right now. Cones work in vision that helps you see what you want to look at when you turn your head or move your eyes. Basically non-peripheral. They give you photopic vision, which is eyesight in daylight conditions.
Sunny out right now.
Both rods and cones help with adapting to different lighting conditions within a short period of time. When photons of light hit pigment inside the cones and rod cells, it triggers a surge of signals. The signals first move through the interneurons known as bipolar cells, which are main pathways from photoreceptors, rods and cones, to neurons known as ganglion cells. The ganglion cells process and summarize visual information, which is then sent to the brain through multiple ganglion axons, known as the optic nerve. The opening for the optic nerve actually goes through the retina, so no rods and cones exist in that area. Their absence creates a blind spot in the middle of the eye. This usually doesn't matter because our brains tend to compensate for what's not there. Neural image created from the light photons that reacted from pigments in the rods and cones moves through the optic nerve and out of the eyeball, and soon, eventually, to the brain.
Yay! 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 Yay!
Let's list some honorable mentions right here. The sclera is the white outer layer that provides protection and form to the eye. The choroid lies between the retina and sclera and provides nourishment to the outer layers of the retina. The vitreous is a gel-like substance that maintains the eye shape. So in theory, your eye, if you were to poke your eye, it wouldn't pop, it'd just kind of leak. And then tears. Tears keep your eyes wet and smooth and nourishes the tissue. Just that sweet tissue. Wet and moist and nourished. Anyway, thank you for watching my psychology video. Psychology, which seems kind of more like anatomy, but at least I'm self-aware. Anyway, thank you again for watching. Bye bye.